Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lindsay, a member of the CK12 team, and my colleague Felix and I will be running this learning management breakout session on CK12 and Canvas Schoology. We are so glad that you've joined us today, this evening, wherever you are in this country or around the globe. Thank you, thank you. Before we really get going here, I want to make sure that everyone is comfortable with the Zoom webinar platform. We use two different windows when we run a webinar. The window for Q&A is where we would like you to put any questions you have for our presenters. So today, Felix is going to do the bulk of the presentation on our Canvas and Schoology integration. As you have questions during his presentation, type them in the Q&A window. We will flag some of those to answer live for everyone's benefit. And we also have Katie and Star as part of the CK12 team answering some questions via text behind the scenes. In the chat window, that's where we'd like to encourage a community conversation. You guys are doing a great job of introducing yourselves, but some people have only sent it to panelists. So only those of us at CK12 are being able to see what you've sent. So look back at what you sent, and if you want to send your message again, this time to all panelists and attendees, that's the only trick in using the chat window. Just make sure that you are sending it to everybody so everybody can get the benefits on what you have to say. This session is being recorded, and we will have it posted to our webinars page on CK12 within the next 24 hours, so you can go back and review this at any time if anything is unclear and you need to review it, or if you're wanting to send a link to your colleagues to help them with their integration with CK12. While we don't anticipate any technical issues during our broadcast, if you are having any trouble with your video or your sound, let us know in one of these windows. I want to let you know about a resource page that we have for this session. You can access it at the tiny URL listed on the screen, or that we're going to put in the chat window. It is tinyurl.com, CK12, Canvas Schoology 2019. And when you type in that link, you will get a PDF, and you're welcome to download that. Just save it for a later date or bookmark that link. Print it out whenever you're ready to come back to it. It's for you as a resource page. So this is meant to be a short webinar, probably going to go about 30-40 minutes depending on your questions, where we're going to highlight CK12's integration with both Canvas and Schoology. So we're going to jump right into the content, and again, use that Q&A window to post any questions you have for our team. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to first talk about setting up CK12 in your LMS. That includes requesting access based on enterprise or individual accounts. Note that if you're using an LMS, you should plan to assign content there and not create a class within CK12. We'll talk about that, but if you're using Canvas or Schoology, likely you're only going to want to use Canvas and Schoology and not use what CK12 calls classes on our site. Then we're going to talk first about our Canvas integration, creating assignments and seeing student scores, as well as detailed reports in your gradebook. And then Schoology, also creating assignments and viewing scores in your gradebooks as well. So to get us started, let's talk about how to set up your LMS. In order to install CK12 in Canvas or Schoology, your school or district first needs to get a key from CK12 by filling out this request form. So some of you have already done this step and you're off and running with CK12, but if you know that you need to install it, we recommend that whoever manages Canvas or Schoology for your district or school be the point person to request this key. We're going to message this to everybody in the chat window, the key request form, but you can also find it on our integrations page found in the direct link ck12.org/integrations, or in the footer under tools and apps. And then once there, you can click on Schoology or the CK12 on Canvas links, and that should get you to that form. Okay. I'm now going to pass it off to Felix, who's going to dive deeper into setting up your LMS.
Excuse me. Thanks, Katie. Hello, everybody. Right now, hopefully you're seeing my Canvas class. We're actually using the free version of Canvas. We used to have an enterprise level, but anyway, we've kind of been bumped down to this. So I'll show you how to install it here, and then once I get to the actual app page, the steps are pretty much the same if you're using an enterprise for Canvas. So actually, let me just take a step back. So what I'm actually inside of my class right now, this Welcome 101, and the way it works for the Canvas free basic version is you have to install the app to each class individually. Again, if you're using the basic version, if you're using enterprise, it'll allow you to install it to as the entire instance of your Canvas. So you won't have to do it for each individual course. So what I'm going to do is I went to settings. Up here at the top, I clicked on apps. Once this page loads, I'll be able to show you where CK12 is at. So you can also search in this guy. I think you have to have the hyphen. Yeah. So I'm going to click on CK12. If you don't already have keys, the request form that Lindsay was mentioning earlier, there's a link to get that here. This says this form. It's a Google form that's going to pop up, and you fill this out, submit that to us, and then we will get back to you with the keys that you need in order to set things up. So once you have done that, you can click on Add App, and then it's going to ask you for those set of credentials, and just click Add App, and then that'll install it for this particular course. That's pretty much it for Canvas. Let me switch over to Schoology and show you how to do it here. So this one, what I did was up here in the top corner, I clicked on this little apps, these 4 set of squares. It basically takes you to the App Center, which is where I'm at currently. And then if I scroll down to CK12, again, that link to get to request the key and secret, that form is here. So you can click on that, fill that out. And then once you have that, you can click on Install App. Let's say I agree. And since this is a enterprise level, it's going to allow me to install to multiple courses. So I would click Install. And that is actually, and then that's it. But the big thing is just making sure you request the key and secret, and then from there you just want to, if you're using enterprise or if someone else manages that, just make sure the correct person is requesting that, so that way we don't end up sending out like duplicate requests, and then one person can just install it for the entire school or district, however it's configured. And that's it.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to take the screen back here, and I want to quickly just do a review for you on the types of things that you can assign within these applications. So let's talk about, or within these LMSs, let's talk about Canvas. Our newest Flexbooks 2.0 lessons include text that often have embedded multimedia and inline questions, and corresponding practice or customized quiz. Other assignable resources, which can be found in the related modalities for a 2.0 lesson, or even assigned individually across our site, include videos, simulations, Clicks interactives, and real-world applications. We cover many of these in depth in other webinar sessions, so if you're not familiar with those and you're intrigued, please join us for other exploratory sessions on these specific areas. But when you assign any of these as a teacher, you can get reports back within your learning management system. So I just want to show you a quick chart here. This chart is available on some of our resource pages and in our help center, so don't feel like you need to memorize this by any means. I just wanted to give you an idea at a high level of how we're going to communicate scores back to your LMS. So Flexbook's 2.0 lessons, they automatically assign any matching practice or quiz attached to that lesson when you make an assignment. And the score reported to your class will be based on the attached practice or quiz. So these are scored as a percentage out of a goal of 10 correct for practice, or the total number of questions for a quiz. If you have made your own Flexbook and have yet to include the matching practice, then the lesson would be assigned like other learning modalities with just full or no credit given. All right, I'm sure you guys are have that chart all memorized, right? Let me go on to the next one, which again, don't be intimidated. We'll put this out there in writing for you to reference. Individual practice quizzes report the same way that they do in a 2.0 lesson. And what we call reads and other modalities like Flexbook 2.0 lessons without a practice or quiz, they show full or no credit of if the student accessed it or if they didn't access it. So if you want to reference this chart, maybe the best place to do it is to, as part of our Getting Started with Adaptive Practice and Assignment sessions, we have a resource page, and I think it was just put into the chat window there. It's another tiny URL, CK12 Practice 2019. You might just want to bookmark that one and know that the chart is there if you want to reference it later as you get more serious and, you know, using this yourself or discussing it with your teachers of the types of things they can report and how that's going to play with Canvas and Schoology. So I'm going to turn this back over to Felix again, and just a reminder to post some questions in the Q&A window, and we'll stop here in a minute and address those, and then also chat out to all panelists and attendees.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. So I will start off with Canvas and sort of walk you through our integration with Canvas. For the most part, it's our app within each Canvas and Schoology is the same. There's like a few little nuances that are slightly different between the two, but other than that, I'll show you what you basically the steps you do on one, you'll kind of repeat for the other. So what I'm going to do is, so right now I'm back inside my Welcome 101 course. I've clicked on assignments. Of course, the app has been installed already. And what I'm going to do is click on assignment, this link up top. And I'm going to scroll down to where it says submission type. And you want to select external tool when you're using CK12. I'm going to click find. And if you have other apps, they'll show up here, but CK12 should show up here for you. If you don't see it here, just make sure you have it installed. That could be the reason you're not seeing it. So what I'm going to do is just simply click on CK12. And so this will load our app, and what it ends up dropping you is basically our browse page. So if you've been directly on our website, you may have seen this before in some shape or fashion. And you're pretty much directly on CK12 just within this view. We've tailored down a few things. So this home just always takes you back to the browse page, and then library will take you to your own library. And of course you can search for things. So I'll start off going into, we'll do algebra. So this is going to take us to our one of our modality pages. And as you can see, it has all the different concepts listed. If I expand that, there's ways to get into there. So I'll just keep clicking. And then the slide that, maybe a couple slides back, Lindsay was saying the things that are assignable. So here we have like our read, our Plix, video, activities are not assignable, but adaptive practice and real world, those guys are all assignable. And if I click on, let's just go with the read. If you're ever in question on what you can assign, if you see the create assign or assign option, that's a good chance that you're able to assign it. If you don't see it, then it's probably something that we don't support assignments for. So let's say I wanted to assign this particular piece of content. All I'm going to do is click on this create assignment link, and that will sort of close and bring you back into Canvas's assignment editor. It created a link here, so we're just going to go ahead and say select. And there's also an option to load in a new tab, but I'll say select. Here I'll just give it a title. So read assignment. I'll give it some points, and then you have the option in Canvas to assign it to a particular student. So if that's something that you want to do, it's actually nice, because if you've ever used CK12 assignments, we don't actually have that feature set yet. So that's kind of one of the nice things you get using like Canvas or Schoology. You can designate it to just be assigned to one student. So after you've sort of selected your content from the external tool, which is us in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and save and publish. And you want to make sure if you don't save and publish, then the students won't see this assignment listed in the assignments area. And if you notice, this looks a little bit different from what we saw in that window. And even if you were to go directly on the CK12, this looks different from what you would see there. And the idea was we wanted to sort of eliminate all of the other sort of noise and distractions on the page and just give you just the content itself. So that's something we did for our reads, and similarly for videos, and even the 1.x Flexbook sections. So these are the pre-Flexbooks 2.0 lesson Flexbook, sorry. So that's creating one assignment. I'll just open it back up and show you how to get to like your library, and then I'll just do like a simple search just so you can see what it looks like. So again, here we are. We're going to create an assignment. I'm just going to jump into the library. And so this is actually pretty handy. So if you're used to just going directly onto the site, you can obviously customize things. So here's a quiz that we created, but also there's an option to add to library. So if you're sort of browsing content and you come across something that you think you either want to use or just save for later, you can do that. And then if you eventually, if it's something that can be assigned and you want to assign it, you can always come to your library and then just sort of filter on what type that was. And then it'll show up here. So like, for instance, I'm just going to grab this quiz, which is assignable. And then same thing, I'm just going to click on create assignment, and similarly, that just creates that link, and I'm going to click select. More. And I'm just going to save and publish. And that will create the assignment. That's pretty much it. I'll show you guys the Flexbook 2.0 kind of when I go through the Schoology side. But right now, let me switch over to my student account, as I can find our options. Okay. Here we go. One second. Okay. So let me go over to. So this is the student. I'm logged in as a student. Here I just see all the assignments that have been assigned. And actually I have one Flexbook 2.0 assignment that's been assigned. This one, so I'm logged in as my student. Here you can see there's an option to turn in. So if it's been assigned, it's a section that has been assigned, they would see this option to turn in. Before you can turn in these FB 2.0, Flexbooks 2.0 assignments, if there is an associated practice or a quiz, because you can associate a quiz with these, the students will have to do the practice or the quiz before they turn it in. And that's because we're going to update your grade book with the grade, whatever score they get on the associated assessment piece. So in this case, it's our default practice. So students can kind of go through here. I'll click on start practice. I won't necessarily complete it, but just so you can sort of have an idea. So let's say I'm going through this, I'm just gonna select something and I'm just gonna stop. So once the students go through this, it will actually return them back to the content, and then this is where they would turn in. If they're turning in something that's below 100%, they'll see this warning saying like, are you sure you want to turn it in? You can keep practicing. I'm going to click cancel here. And I'm going to go back to our assignments and show you, let's take a look at this Plix. So Plix is one of our interactives. This is one of the assignment types that is sort of like credit, no credit almost. So basically, once students start to interact with this, we sort of give them credit and say they've attempted it. So they'll get like a full, whatever the point value you assign to this particular piece, they'll get full credit for. And so there is no turn-in button. It's just more based on their interaction. So here you can see, again, I'm still on the student side, but here you can see the grades are sort of coming to the grade book. And then one last thing before I switch over to, let's do this. Before I switch over to Schoology. So this was the same Flexbook, or different, this is a Flexbook 2.0 assignment. Here I've already sort of attempted the practice. I'm just gonna click turn in. But the big thing is you just, as long as they see the turn in button there, and they've attempted the practice or quiz if it's associated, they should have no problems turning in, and then that score gets updated in the gradebook. And one quick thing before I'm gonna switch back to this teacher for Canvas really quick. Okay, so here I am in the teacher view. So you can see the scores are here as well. But one thing that we do for any of our assessment turn-in, so like the Flexbooks 2.0 that have these quizzes and of course quiz and practice assignments, in Canvas you can see we post a link to the gradebook. It's a little funky getting there, but basically what I did was from the gradebook, I clicked on the student's name, I clicked on grades, and then this sort of brings you up to the submissions piece. And if I click on Earth's shape, this link right here is a link to sort of the class report. And this won't just give you, I wanted to open in a new window. Sorry. Well, this isn't the best view, but basically, if there were other students in this class, it would show all of the students in the class, and then this is going to show all of the assignments that you have assigned to this particular class in Canvas. So here's the practice that we did. If I click on that, it gives you sort of the report for that student. So if I scroll down, you can see like the attempts, what I got right, what I got wrong, etc. So that's something that we have for Canvas. I'm gonna stop and switch to Schoology and sort of show you kind of how to create an assignment, and then I'll show you the gradebook. So from Schoology side, so again, I'm inside of my Schoology class. It's called Jumpstart Grades. From here, what I do is click on Add Materials, and again, this has already been installed. If you don't see it, make sure you have installed it correctly. But once that's done, this will look identical to what we just saw. So again, you can go to the library, you can browse through subjects, or you can search. So, Click on this and it's going to bring up the search. So that's another way you can find content. If you haven't already bookmarked things, you can use the search to sort of search for different topics or content that you're interested in. And then it'll list it out based on the type. So this, we have a read, there's a video here. I'll just go ahead and click on the video. I'll assign this, oops, let me go back. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, so that's something different from our search. Let me go back. So that took me to a video that was within one of our new Flexbooks 2.0. Just do this. Okay, this guy. So once I'm here, this will have that create assignment icon or link action. I can click on this. It'll create the assignment. Now in Schoology, this is one of those things that's a little bit different. So before in Canvas, it kind of kept you in the assignment editor, but here it takes you out of that and drops you here. So one thing I'll note is by default, the grading is not turned on. And if it's not enabled, you won't see any scores passed back to the gradebook. So after you've selected the content, you have to go back and edit the assignment to enable the grading, and then give it, whatever category. And then there's the option here, excuse me, to individually assign it to students. Same thing we saw sort of in Canvas. So I'll just enable grading and I'll keep everything else the same and save. And that's pretty much it. So let me switch over to the student just to show you a couple things. But creating the assignment is pretty much the same, with, I'd say, probably the caveat of enabling grading in Schoology. It's kind of an easy thing to miss. All right, so here I am in the student side. Just refresh this page. So here's that video assignment that was just assigned. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that as a student. So this loads sort of similar in that the lesson or the read that I was showing you, where we kind of remove some of the different options. So this is another one of those no credit things. As soon as they open it, they'll get full points, whatever you've valued that assignment at. There's no turn-in option here. It's just automatically submitted. And then I can just show you, I think this one's a quiz. So the other thing I'll point out is that students are not going directly to CK12. Everything they're doing is done and contained sort of in either Schoology or Canvas. So like Lindsay had mentioned before, you're not gonna go, you don't wanna have two, you don't need to create a class directly on CK12 and have it on Canvas. If you're using Canvas and you're using our integration, just stick with that. Because and you won't see these classes anywhere on CK12. So if you're expecting to have it update in both places, you won't see that. And so that's why we say just stick to one or the other, because you won't have it in both places. So this is a quiz assignment. I just wanted to show you sort of what that looks like. So here the student has attempted it, here they can see what they got right, what they got wrong, and then there's an option to turn it in. Same sort of kind of warning message. Once they turn that in, it gets submitted to the gradebook, and then they're pretty much good from there. The one thing that Schoology doesn't have currently is a way for us to attach that sort of same class report link that we were able to do in Canvas. We also have that available in Google Classroom if anyone's teetering on making the leap. But unfortunately, right now for Schoology, we don't have a way to provide that level of detail. through Schoology. So we're trying to figure out a way where we can surface that by some other means. But right now for Schoology, you guys would just have access to the grades that are updated in the gradebook. And then of course students could open up the assignment and sort of show you, like for example, for that quiz, they could show you that level manually. So I think with that, I will probably pause and then we can move into questions.
Thank you for all the good demoing, Felix.
Sure.
We do have some questions. I think one theme from a lot of the questions is what you just addressed. Of several questions were about, do I need to assign in 2 places? Does what I assign in Schoology end up in CK12? And I think you addressed that very clearly. Stick with your platform. So if you're using Schoology and Canvas, you definitely assign through that. Students will access through Schoology and Canvas. You will not want to set up separate classes on CK12. Our classes on CK12 are likely for folks who are not using Canvas, Schoology, or Google Classroom. So if you have any further questions on that, that's great, but that's hopefully been answered. Okay, Felix, I'm gonna start throwing some questions at you here and you can view them in the Q&A. Let's just start at the top. When you update CK12 offerings, are they automatically updated in the LMS? For instance, if you add a new tool, did the new tool show up in the LMS?
That is a good question. So I would say it depends. So like some things that we can support within the LMSs, we will. One example is what we actually have coming like probably by the end of this week. So I'd say maybe by next week is our insights, which will give you more information on how your students are doing on assignments. And this is particularly, this is just for our Flexbook 2.0. So any lessons or sections that you're assigning from our 2.0 lessons, that will have insights available on it once the student submits. And those insights are like time spent on that particular assignment. We also have a histogram, so it kind of, let me just open this guy up. So what will happen is you will be able to go into the assigned lesson and then sort of, once this loads, on the left over here, oops, and as a teacher, you'll be able to see this histogram and it'll kind of highlight where the students are sort of spending time. It'll also show you paragraphs where they are missing certain questions, and that question has been mapped to a certain paragraph in the text. So maybe like this paragraph, they missed a question where they could have found some of the answer here. So that's something we call insights. That's going to be coming to both Canvas and Schoology. So that's one example of something that we do support. So I would say it depends on what we can actually do within sort of the limitation of the window size, and what features make sense. As far as content, that will always be updated automatically. So if you're customizing anything and you've assigned it, as long as it's not like a draft, that content will be updated. If you're assigning like lessons or any sections from your book, we do assign revisions. So if you've done any changes to that, then you will want to sort of reassign it to have that newer revision updated. That's mostly for like book lessons, but like quizzes and things like that, you're okay. So hopefully that answers that question.
Okay, Felix, I want to talk about another kind of a theme of questions that came up. Several people were asking about the ability to like basically duplicate classes, saying that they're having to recreate classes year after year. Are there any best practices or shortcuts you know about Canvas and Schoology to help with that?
Yeah, so I think they're talking about the course copy. This is my student account. So you should, let me see if I can switch. You should be able to use, I think, if I can remember, Schoology, you should be able to basically copy one assignment to another class without having to redo, create each class in each lesson. I forget how these are usually structured. I think there's like a folder that people use, and then they have assignments there, and then they copy it to different classes. So you can do that. There's also this option here that says copy to course. You can do that and copy it to the course, and it should just work for you. So I would say to try that. That way you don't have to recreate these individually. I know in the past we had some issues where that wasn't updating properly, but that should be fixed now. And then the same thing in Canvas. I forget exactly the workflow to do it, but if you've copied any other sort of assignments or materials, I would say go ahead and try that. That should be supported.
Felix, do you know if you can do that at the course level? I mean, you're showing the assignment level. Do you know if you can duplicate a whole course?
Yeah, there is a way to do it. I just don't remember exactly how to do it. But
okay, we're gonna leave it to our users to kind of sort that out with Canvas and Schoology then. We had a question, I think about grading. The question says how to convert not by hand to a proficiency scale of 0 to 4 from 100 scale. So I'm guessing that could kind of be generalized to can people take our practice that's out of 100 and change to their own grading scale?
Yeah, I believe you can. So let me see. I think it's sort of scale. Yeah, I think it just depends on what's available here. I'm pretty sure if you change this to be like a different value, it'll like recalculate based on what those points are. I thought there was another scale in Schoology, but let me check Canvas. I think there is.
I'll remind everybody. So Felix is our integration specialist. He's the one who makes CK12 talk to Canvas and Schoology, but he's not necessarily the hard user of Canvas and Schoology that so many of you are in your school situation. So forgive us if we don't know the ins and outs entirely of Canvas and Schoology. We know how CK12 plays with it, but some of these general questions on points and duplicating courses, we may not be the best experts on it.
Yeah. And so here's Canvas. They do give you an option to change how the grade is displayed. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're looking for, but those options are, as far as I know, that's it. And then based on the point value that you set this to, when we submit our score, it sort of does the calculation behind the scenes, and it should work out to be the same.
Okay, and then our community in the chat window, some people are weighing in with some ideas based on the topics we're talking about. So thank you for any of you who have experience with that. That's great. Another question to throw at you, Felix, in case you know, I have a shell class in Canvas that I link all of my common classes to each. I would just have to assign a CK12 in the shell class, and it would be assigned out to all of my classes? Question mark. Were you able to follow that one?
Yeah, I think I do, but I don't have an answer for that because I don't think I've tried that.
Well, you can thank Star, who's flagged all these fun ones to throw at your direction.
Yeah. It sounds similar to the course copy, and I want to say that is supported, but I'm not 100%. I'm not sure of the shell, but I kind of remember someone, another user, doing that, and we were able to get it working. But I would say give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, just let us know, and then we'll try to support as much as we can.
For sure. I'm going to steal the screen back while you answer this last question, Felix, on does it work well in Schoology's iOS app as it does on the web? We're an iPad 1-to-1.
Yes. So as long as, let's see, I think the only things I would probably would be maybe our interactives. So some of our interactives require a certain amount of real estate to use. So if they were opening any assignments that were like I think like maybe our simulations that require more real estate to work, they'll see sort of a screen that says this window size isn't supported. But outside of that, it should be fine through the app. I don't know of any issues using the app, but I also don't know too many people who are using the app off the top of my head. But that would be the only thing I could think of off the back, would be if you're assigning like simulation or maybe even some Plixes that require just a bigger real estate screen. Those particular assignments might not be supported, but all the other ones, all of our other offerings are mobile friendly, so they do scale, and they should function fine.
Okay, let me do a little bit of wrap up information while you all are typing any last questions you have for Felix and our team into the Q&A window. But kind of transitioning to some broader CK12 business here, we do have a certified educator program. You may have heard about it. We run kind of the bulk of this in the summertime. It was in July 2019, this past summer. But we have webinars throughout the year that qualify toward the certified educator program. This breakout session on LMSs is not one of our core offerings, so it doesn't count towards certification. But if anything I just said interests you at all, I encourage you to go to ck12.org/certified. And we have a register button there where you can fill out a form and start compiling some webinars to become CK12 certified. It's a free program. It really gives you the badge of honor, designates you as an expert on our site, and we always love working with our certified educators. Any questions you have about the certified educator program specifically are best directed toward jumpstart@ck12.org. Also wanted to remind you of this resource page that covers a lot of what Felix showed you during his demo. So we will put that into the chat window again for you. We're kind of winding down with our webinars. We find that December is not the best time to do a bunch of webinars. Folks have other things going on. I know that's crazy to, to imagine that, but we would love for you to join us on December 5th at 3 o'clock Pacific time for a webinar talking about community contributed and non-STEM content on CK12. We are known sort of for our middle school, high school math and science, but our powerful, intelligent, insightful platform can do a lot of things. So we encourage you to build non-STEM content and view our community contributed resources as well. You can sign up for that at ck12.org/webinars. And that link is also where you will find the archived recording of this webinar. We love to get your feedback. If you have just a few minutes, you can go to this tiny URL, that's the CK12 feedback 1920, and just let us know how it went, what we could do better next time. We read all of your comments, and we're so appreciative when you take the time to give us that feedback. And then we are here to support you. So if your question did not get answered, or you need additional support as you go to integrate with Canvas and Schoology, or you have any pain points as you're working through these applications, shoot us an email to support, and then we'll probably forward them directly to Felix, and you'll get the personal touch from Felix on helping troubleshoot your issues. I also encourage you to find us on the socials. You can find us at CK12 Foundation, or we also like the hashtag CK12 Certified. So our Q&A window is currently empty, so I'm going to give you a few more seconds here to see if there are any last questions for our team. Otherwise, I just want to thank you again. I know how busy educators are, and so for you to take a time out to learn more about how you can more smoothly integrate CK12 into your school situations, that's awesome. And as I said that, here we go. We've got a couple questions coming in. Any plans on testing CK12 in the Canvas app? You think on that for a second, Felix. Where can we go to rewatch this? I'm going to personally upload it to YouTube in the next 24 hours, and it will be linked on our webinars page, which is just ck12.org/webinars. All right, what do you know about the Canvas app?
Thanks, Lindsay. You can tell by my laughter I don't know much.
Okay.
Any plans on testing that? I would say at this point, no. The reason why is because we are a small team. So even to support some of these integrations does take a lot of effort, and unfortunately we can't scale everything. So We usually cover the browsers and mobile and the mobile browsers, mobile devices, but that's kind of where we sort of stop. Most of our integrations is there. You're welcome to give it a shot, and if something isn't working out right, let us know, and then maybe we can address it. Hopefully we can address it. But we usually test browsers, so mobile browsers, desktop browsers, laptops, things like that, and mobile devices. But because of our size of team and scaling limitations, we usually don't go fully into testing every single app that we integrate with for like Canvas and Schoology.
Basically, we need about 4 more Felixes,
Yeah.
and then we might be able to work on more apps. But I think, Felix, you probably already have some to-do lists after this webinar of learning some of the questions and some of the needs of the community. Again, we really appreciate it, and if we can further support you, reach out to support@ck12.org. And with that, we will say goodbye, good night, and see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.